Well, it's been 3 years since M3GAN first cartwheeled onto the silver screen, and this time it looks like she's abandoning her serial killer ways to save the world for some reason. So did that end up being a good idea? Let's talk about it. M3GAN 2.0 is the latest horror sequel out of Blumhouse, and it's about when the underlying tech for M3GAN gets stolen and misused to create a military-grade weapon known as Amelia. In response, M3GAN's creator decides to resurrect her, giving her a few new upgrades so she has a fighting chance against this brand new souped up threat. So I'm somebody that thought the first M3GAN film was just alright, not really anything special, even if it was able to still offer up a few moments of PG-13 fun along the way, but I have no problem admitting that I'm not entirely the target demographic for this. I mean, M3GAN is a slasher villain for the TikTok generation. This character basically answers the question, what would Chucky look like if he spent all day listening to Chappell Roan? And yeah, that's not exactly a question I'm all that interested in getting the answer to, but you take what you can get these days. But when I heard they were doing a full-on genre swap and turning the sequel into a Gen Z version of Terminator 2, I was equally intrigued and prepared for the absolute worst. Because if you're making a change that drastic, you really need to have all your shit figured out, or it's gonna be an absolute dumpster fire. So when I sat down to watch this movie, I really wasn't sure what to expect, honestly. But M3GAN 2.0 flips the script for the worst, completely abandoning the horror vibes from its previous installment and replacing it with a forgettable action narrative, even if there are still some comedic and entertaining sequences sprinkled in there. When it comes to the story they decided to go with this time around, it's all over the place in a lot of unexpected ways, because when you boil it down, this is a classic case of a studio not knowing what they want to do with a franchise next, but deciding they had to do something because the original entry was super profitable. I mean, the previous film made over 15 times its budget. It wasn't about if M3GAN was getting a sequel, it was just a matter of when it was happening. Shifting the narrative away from light horror to this kind of spy technological thriller makes for some fun moments down the stretch, but I found myself missing the tone of the previous movie, even if I only thought it was decent at best. There's tons of exposition in here. Every other word in the script is either motherboard, cybersecurity, or artificial intelligence, and I just think the M3GAN character is a lot more fun and entertaining as the villain of the story more so than the hero. You still get shades of that from time to time in this film, but it's basically just a tease more than anything else, which is a huge bummer. When it comes to the performances, there's really nothing to write home about here, but that's also not what you should be expecting from this kind of gimmicky and surface level killer robot adventure. Allison Williams is definitely the most well-known member of the cast, reprising her role as the person who invented M3GAN in the first place, and her along with the rest of the actors are kind of just along for the ride, phoning it in. It's hard to get all that invested in these characters since they're portrayed as so much smarter than the average person, even though they still do some truly dumb shit in this movie, but you don't really care about anyone other than M3GAN herself, which was kind of true last time as well, but I think it's more apparent here without her as the antagonist. I will say though, definitely more laughs to go around this time, and the cast stepped up their game by nailing the comedic timing in those moments, but that's the only benefit I'll give to this entry over the last one when it comes to the performances. Now let's talk about all of the action sequences in the film, because there is way more in here than the original movie because of that radical genre shift. M3GAN's not just chasing people down with paper cutters anymore, she's out there soaring through the air in a wingsuit and throwing on disguises like she's in a damn Mission Impossible movie. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I think leaning into the action genre detracted from the story and the overall vibes, the shootouts and hand-to-hand combat are probably the biggest highlight of this entire film. There's some genuinely fun choreography in here, and when they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, it's hard not to give in to the absurdity of it all. And that's far and away the best thing to come out of this kind of unnecessary course correction. Overall, guys, M3GAN 2.0 is pretty much exactly what you should be expecting out of a Blumhouse sequel that completely changes its entire genre. There's still some entertainment to be had, but the film is bogged down by exposition, bland performances, and totally abandoning its horror roots. The movie is at its best when M3GAN is on screen, cracking jokes and showing off her fighting abilities, and there's a truly fantastic use of the PG-13 F-bomb in here, but this sequel definitely has an identity crisis going on. M3GAN 2.0 gets a Sully score of 2.5 stars. So that's my review of the latest Blumhouse film. What do you think is the best movie they've had a hand in making? I 100% have to go with Get Out, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.